They call it obsession. You call it necessity. They see someone who works too much. You see someone who refuses to lose. They think you're extreme, unbalanced, taking it too seriously, but they don't understand. They never will, because they measure success by comfort achieved. You measure it by potential realized. They want enough. You want everything. They settle for good. You demand great. And that gap, that's not a difference of degree. It's a difference of obsession. Stay. This isn't motivation. This is a warning. Normal motivation was never enough. Because motivation is emotion, and emotion fades. Motivation gets you started, gets you excited, gets you feeling like you can conquer anything for about 3 days. Then reality hits, then difficulty appears, then the work gets boring, and motivation disappears, leaves you standing there with just the commitment. And most people quit here. When the feeling dies, when the excitement fades, when motivation abandons them, because they were relying on emotion to carry them. And emotion doesn't carry anything. Discipline does. Feelings lie constantly. They tell you you're tired when you're just uncomfortable. They tell you you need rest when you just want comfort. They tell you you've done enough when you've barely started. Feelings are terrible advisors. They protect comfort, not growth. They avoid pain, not pursue progress. They choose easy, not effective. So you stopped listening to feelings. You acknowledged them, then ignored them, and moved based on decisions, not sensations. Winning demands more than feelings can provide. It demands consistency when motivation is dead. It demands discipline when emotion is flat. It demands execution when every feeling says stop. It demands showing up when you don't want to, working when you don't feel like it, pushing when you're already exhausted. Feelings can't power that. Only obsession can. Only the non-negotiable commitment to winning. Only the refusal to accept anything less than your absolute best. You remember the moment it began, the breaking point. Maybe it was a loss, a failure, a moment you came up short and realized short wasn't acceptable anymore. Maybe you looked around and saw yourself blending in, being average, being forgettable, and something inside you rejected that reality, violently, completely. Maybe you fell short of a goal and the disappointment didn't fade. It festered. It turned into fuel. Whatever the moment was, it rewired you. That moment changed your wiring, your priorities, your standards, your tolerance for mediocrity. It went from something you'd accept to something you'd destroy. You stopped being okay with average, stopped being comfortable with good enough, stopped accepting less than your potential. And once you raise that standard internally, you can't lower it. You can't unsee what you saw. You can't unfeel what you felt. You're marked, changed, obsessed. Obsession became structure, not chaos, not addiction, not imbalance. Structure. You channeled it into routine, into schedule, into discipline. You took that raw, intense drive to win and you gave it rails to run on. Daily habits, weekly goals, monthly milestones, annual targets. You built systems around your obsession. So it wasn't just burning hot and random. It was focused, directed, weaponized. Obsession turned into discipline. You woke at the same time, trained at the same hour, worked through the same blocks, ate the same fuel, slept the same hours. You built consistency around your commitment. Because obsession without structure is just intensity. But obsession with structure? That's domination. That's unstoppable. That's someone who doesn't just want to win. Someone who's engineered their entire life around it. You sacrificed comfort without apology. You missed the late nights, the lazy mornings, the spontaneous plans, the social events, the parties, the celebrations. You missed them because you were training, working, building, and people noticed. They commented, they questioned, they judged. But you didn't apologize, didn't explain, didn't defend, because comfort is expensive, and the price is progress, and you chose progress. You sacrificed sleep when necessary, not recklessly, strategically. You knew recovery mattered, But you also knew that when deadlines approached, when opportunities appeared, when the moment demanded it, sleep could wait. So you worked through nights when others slept. You built while they rested. You invested hours they wasted. And those hours compounded into advantage. You sacrificed approval entirely. You stopped needing people to understand. Stopped needing them to agree. Stopped needing them to support. You realized their approval was worthless if it came at the cost of your obsession. So you let them think what they wanted, call you what they wanted, judge how they wanted. You focused on winning. And winning doesn't require their permission. You chose progress over everything. Over relationships that drained you. Over activities that didn't build you. Over comfort that kept you stagnant. Every choice became binary. Does this move me toward my goal or away from it? Does this make me better or just feel better? Does this serve my obsession or distract from it? And you chose accordingly, ruthlessly, consistently. Without hesitation, you trained tired, when your body begged for rest, when your muscles screamed for recovery, when fatigue sat heavy in your bones. You trained anyway, not because you're reckless, because you learned that training tired builds a different kind of strength. The kind that shows up exhausted and performs anyway. The kind that doesn't need optimal conditions. The kind that executes regardless. You showed up angry, frustrated with progress, mad at setbacks, annoyed with obstacles, but you showed up. You didn't let emotion dictate action. You felt the anger. Then you channeled it into work, into reps, into effort. You used emotion as fuel, not as an excuse to quit. And angry training is powerful training. When controlled, when directed, when weaponized. You worked without excitement. On the boring days, the repetitive days, the nothing special days. When training felt like a chore, when work felt like grinding, when progress felt invisible. You worked anyway. Because you learned excitement is optional. Excellence isn't. Excitement makes work feel good, but discipline makes work effective. And effective beats enjoyable when you're obsessed with winning. Winning doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're motivated. Doesn't care if you're inspired. Doesn't care if you're excited. Winning cares about execution, about consistency, about showing up, about doing the work. Regardless. So you stopped asking how you felt before you acted. You just acted. And feelings adjusted after. Not before. You isolated gradually. Not dramatically. Not angrily, just naturally. You stopped spending time with people who didn't understand, who questioned your commitment, who mocked your discipline, who called your obsession unhealthy. You distanced yourself, not from hate, from focus. Because you can't be obsessed with winning and obsessed with maintaining relationships that don't serve that goal. So you chose, and you chose winning. Fewer people in your circle now. By design, the ones who remain understand. They respect the obsession. They share it. Or they stay silent and supportive. Everyone else faded, and you didn't chase them, didn't explain, didn't apologize. You let them go. Because obsessed people can't carry dead weight, can't maintain comfort relationships, can't pretend to care about things that don't matter. More focus replaced the noise. All that energy you used to spend on social maintenance, on keeping people comfortable, on explaining yourself, redirected into training, into work, into improvement, into winning. And that focus compounded, made you sharper, faster, better, more efficient, more effective, more dangerous. You stopped explaining why you do what you do, why you train so much, why you work so hard, why you care so deeply. You stopped because explaining dilutes the power, makes it sound negotiable, makes it seem like you're seeking approval, but you're not. You're seeking victory, and victory doesn't need explanation. It needs execution. You started executing instead. silently, consistently, relentlessly. While they asked questions, you trained. While they judged, you improved. While they doubted, you built. And execution is the only answer that matters. You don't prove you're obsessed with words. You prove it with results. And results don't argue. They dominate. Winning means more to you because you paid for it. Not with money, with time, with sacrifice, with discipline. With every morning you got up when you wanted to sleep. Every session you pushed through when you wanted to quit. Every choice you made for progress instead of comfort. You paid daily, quietly, consistently, and that payment created ownership. This victory is yours, bought and earned. Others wanted balance, the 80-20 life, the work-life harmony, the sustainable pace, the moderate approach, and that's fine for them. But you wanted results, real results. Undeniable results. Results that require imbalance, that demand obsession, that only come from going all in. So while they balanced, you dominated. While they paced, you sprinted. While they sustained, you sacrificed. And the gap grew. You don't talk much anymore. Not because you're antisocial, because you're focused. Words are energy, and you'd rather spend that energy on execution than explanation. So you went quiet. You stopped updating, stopped sharing, stopped posting. You just worked, and silence became your signature. People wonder what you're doing. You don't tell them. You show them, eventually, through results. You don't flex your discipline. Don't announce your training. Don't post your progress. Not because you're humble, because you're obsessed. And obsessed people don't need external validation. They validate themselves through improvement, through hitting targets, through achieving goals, through winning. That internal validation is stronger than any like, any comment, any approval. Results handle the conversation for you. When people see the transformation, the achievement, the victory, they understand without you saying anything. Your discipline becomes obvious. Your obsession becomes justified. Your sacrifice becomes worth it. All through results. And results are the only language winners need to speak. This obsession isn't temporary. It's not a phase. It's not something you'll grow out of. This is identity now. You are someone who's obsessed with winning, who refuses to settle, who demands excellence, who sacrifices comfort, who chooses discipline, who executes regardless. That's not a mood. That's who you are. Permanently. You're obsessed with winning. They can call it whatever they want. Extreme, unbalanced, unhealthy, too much. You don't care. Because while they're judging your obsession, you're winning. While they're preaching balance, you're dominating. While they're living comfortably, you're living victoriously. And victory requires obsession. Always has. Always will. Comment obsessed if winning is non-negotiable for you.